Hey everyone, Mark Hayward here from the Absolute Business Mindset podcast on YouTube channel. Today we have a really interesting conversation with Dana Silvestri, who is a consultant, a mindset coach, a speaker and a social media specialist. We talk a lot with Dana about his upbringing and his early experiences in his family, where he lost people, including two family members and also an ex-girlfriend that passed away. We talk about him having limiting self-beliefs and how he was able to turn that around working with Bob Proctor in the Proctor Gallagher Institutes. And then we talk about his business, his current business as a mindset coach and as a consultant. And we talk about how he goes in and helps people change their mindset and be able to become the person they want to become. There's interesting stories including an important road trip that he had and about reevaluating yourself. Then we talk about goals for 2022, and then we've got the quick fire questions at the end. So if you're enjoying this interview and you're enjoying this, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do give it a subscribe and hit the bell icon as well. And there'll be more content every week. So please do enjoy the interview, and I'll speak to you all soon. Today we have Dana Silvestri, who is a consultant, mindset coach, speaker, and social media specialist. Hello, Dana. How are you?
Amazing, Mark. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. So the first question I ask all my guests, the podcast is called Absolute Business Mindset. What does a business mindset mean to you?
For me, a business mindset, it goes much deeper. I think a lot of people think about mindset as kind of black and white or salt and pepper. Either you have a positive one or you have a negative one. For me, a business mindset goes much deeper. It goes into, your attitude, how you feel, how you treat people, the way that you connect with people in your business. And for me, really, it's understanding the mind, which we'll get into, because I find a lot of people don't actually understand what the mind means, the difference between the brain and the mind.
Right.
And we'll get into that as well. But for me, it's having control of yourself and having control of your mind so that you can give yourself to your business, because your business is an expression of the CEO, of the founder, of the owner, and the employees all know that, and it kind of trickles down from the top in the instances that.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Before we go into your degree in business, what was your upbringing like?
So I grew up from United States, state called Massachusetts, town called Wakefield, a very shy kid. So I remember I have memories of hiding behind my parents. I have memories of people, they would always ask me this question when I was younger and say, why don't you ever talk? And I always thought, like, I don't know why. This is just the way that I am. And I thought I needed to be fixed and stuff like this. And I also had a speech impediment, like I couldn't pronounce certain words. And so that made it played into it. Extra help classes till 16 years old. So what really happened is I had, middle class upbringing. So it wasn't like I was in poverty or anything, but I had some of these self-image things going on. The way that I viewed myself and I viewed the world, it was not the best way, because I had these people saying these things to me. So I came up with the conclusion, I needed to be fixed and something was wrong with me. And I started to play into that, if that makes sense. So I started to be that shy person, to be that person that didn't go after what I wanted. And obviously I was still at a younger age and such, but I did have an entrepreneur side as me as well. Like in middle school, I would sell gum and candy. And that kind of branched out to finding things on Craigslist in high school and flipping things. So I grew up very shy, very quiet, thought I needed to be fixed, but I started to expand as I got older. Through high school, I started to get into sports and such. So I was blessed enough to my parents put me into things where I would be around other like-minded kids and people in high school that I could expand on being more outgoing and whatnot. So it was a good upbringing in that sense. And depends how deep you want to take it right now. I had a couple things really happen to me that changed my whole outlook on life and business as well, if you want me to go into that.
Yeah, go for it. Please do.
Yeah, so when I was 16 years old, I had my aunt and uncle pass away from cancer in the same year. And at this point, I had never lost anyone in my family. So I didn't really understand what death was, or I understood you could die. But two people in 12 months was very impactful in a negative way towards myself. So I started to like question things. And then I basically, I went through high school, 21 years old. I was in college. I was in a relationship for a couple of years. We broke up. We started to grow separate ways. And what happened is 8 months after that, we were still friends. My ex-girlfriend had passed away in a car accident on Christmas Eve.
Right.
And so what happened, and the reason I mentioned these is this started to ask this helped me start to ask questions about like, what is life? Why am I here? What do I want to do with my life? Am I gonna pass away tomorrow as well? Nothing's really guaranteed. So I started to ask myself these questions that, some people don't ask themselves these questions their whole life. They just go through life and let life happen to them. But I started to ask these questions, which caused me to be the responder of that life, not the reactor. And that's when I graduated college in business degree in management and marketing. And I got my first job. And it wasn't until I got my first job, I was 6 months in, I was underpaid, underappreciated. I was sitting at the desk. I saw how and I'm not saying every company does this, but I was saying this company was not treating us right. And my job was basically on the West Coast in America is to manage these other contractors called court reporters. And there's about 80 to 100 of them. You're managing them by emails and calls. So I was doing 65, 70 hours a week, minimal paid. Department of Labor had to come in and investigate the company and cut me a check to not like take them to court. So all these things started to happen, the deaths, and I kind of pieced together that the path that I was going, even though some people would say this is very successful or it's a good path to go on, and you have a job, you're earning money, you have a path. I realized it wasn't for me in that moment. So I remember it was in Worcester, Massachusetts. And if you're familiar with Massachusetts at all, I know you have an audience in the UK. So it's very cold during the winter, it gets freezing, and in the summertime it's more hot, in the 80s, 90s, 70s, whatnot. So I remember I hiked up a mountain. It was during the summertime, and my goal was I started to listen to these podcasts, and I found that a lot of successful people on these podcasts were talking about journaling and writing out their goals and all these things that was very foreign to me at this age because I just didn't do that. And a lot of people still don't have the right goal as well. But anyways, so I bought a journal from a convenience store called CVS, and I hiked up the mountain to the top, and there was a ski lift on top of the mountain. And what I did is I sat there for 8 hours, and throughout the whole weekend, basically, I worked on all my goals, no limitations, relationships, finances, where did I want to live, the car I want to drive, the family that I want to have, how much money did I want to earn, self-improvement, vacations, you name it. I worked on every single category with no limitations at all. That's the key. And after I finished that, I compared it to my life now. And I said, me working for this company specifically, or any other company, I'm not even gonna end up being able to accomplish anything I just wrote down. Mm-hmm. So I had that moment. I said, I can start now. I can put this off 10 years. I can make excuses. What am I going to do? So in that moment, I had a breakthrough, and I decided that I don't know how I was going to do it, but I set a goal. I'm going to help people online, and I'm going to earn money online. That was my major goal. And I had no idea how and what this really was going to lead to. And this was back, was this 5 years ago, now that we're talking about this. So this is back 5 years ago. So I really had that breakthrough moment. And I didn't mention throughout college and high school, I was a big into partying, and I was lost. I was undisciplined. I got in trouble a lot of times. I was arrested 5 times in over the course of a couple of years because I was lost in that process. And so doing this gave me a purpose. It gave me something to work towards. It gave me a vision, and it gave me desire, which is number one. Napoleon Hill talks about in his book, Think and Grow Rich, that you need to have a burning desire. So that got into basically that I started to shift my focus, and I started to say, I don't know where to start. Like, okay, this is my goal now. I have all these goals written out, but I'm confused now. So what I did is, and this is key, is I started to find the people that had what I wanted online. So I started to find these entrepreneurs, a couple of Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, a few of those guys. And I said, these guys have good values. They have good morals. They have what I want, not just material wise, but internal as well. So I went into a program called the KBB in 2017 as well. It was like $2,000. And at this point, I've never invested more than $200 into my own personal development, aside from a formal education, I would say.
Mm.
And I went on that journey. I started to do my 9 to 5. And after that, I would work 5, 6 hours to 11, 12 p.m. on just putting out content, doing social media, putting out value, studying, learning about marketing, learning about sales, learning about coaching, consulting, and not only just learning, but applying it through the internet and online as well. And it was really interesting because this got me to a point that I was able to create my business part-time. And then in 2020, I was able to go full-time into my business, and I started to earn money in that sense. And then it was amazing. I started, this is key too, is I think everyone needs a mentor of some sort, definitely a step ahead of them or even very ahead of them. What happened, and we'll get into this later as well in more detail, is I listened to a podcast by Lewis Howes. He's an entrepreneur. And then Bob Proctor, who was one of my mentors. And Bob Proctor, if you don't know who that is, as well as he actually just passed away 2 weeks ago. Rest in power. But he was the grandfather of personal development, is what people called him. You know, he was in business 60 years, since age 27. He passed away at 88. And he was a human growth expert. So he knew about the mind, how powerful your mind is, and how mindset is not black and white, and how there's certain laws, nature's laws, that and success habits, that if you follow this, there's a science to success, there's an art to fulfillment. So he would really teach that kind of philosophy and those habits and teach you about the mind. So I came across that podcast, and I saw him talking on there. And right away, I just knew something in my heart. I was like, I need to reach out to him and his company. I need to just be around them. I need to be around the way that they think. It's different. So I reached out to them. I ended up going into kind of this coaching program or so. And fast forward 8 months later, and keep in mind, Bob Proctor, while he's alive, for 6 months, he would charge $250,000 for one call a month. So this guy's very, very hard to like talk to one-on-one. Well, it's if you don't have a connection to him, it's basically impossible. But it was interesting. And I'll get into this story later too. I keep saying that because I don't want to drag on too long here. But I was on a call with Bob Proctor on Zoom 8 months later, talking to him about a business opportunity to partner with him in his company. And I was very scared. I was excited at the same time, and I took that opportunity. And when I did that, over the course of the next year and a half, I was able to grow my business past the 6-figure mark, just in over a year, which is pretty impressive in that sense. I was able to apply what he taught me about these principles that Napoleon Hill talks about kind of these universal laws that he talks about, and then combine it with what I knew about marketing and sales to really get to where I am today. And then over the course of the last year or so, that happened. And then last July, I set a goal in April. So my kind of the way the coaching I do is I focus on the future. I focus on what someone wants. And most people don't know what they want, 97%. And that's the issue. So they don't have a target to go after. So you need to establish what you want. So I set a goal last April. I'm so happy and grateful now that I live in a luxury apartment in Scottsdale, Arizona by October 15th, 2021. And it was interesting. I wrote that down. I actually still have the memo on my phone. And then in July, all these things started to happen around me. Like I lived in an apartment in Massachusetts. There was the tenant below us. The police had to break down the door, and the guy got arrested. And we were kind of forced. I was in a relationship at a time. That relationship grew apart, and we were kind of forced to like move out because it was not safe anymore. And it all happened at once. Like it was like magic after I set this goal. And so the reason I'm saying this is July, I basically had a 2-door car, a coupe. I packed it up with all my stuff, my laptop, just what I needed. Drove 50 hours from Massachusetts to Arizona just alone, made some amazing pit stops. And now I'm out in Arizona, the beautiful sunny Arizona, and really expanding my network out here as well. So it's been amazing. Very grateful for, that's a quick version of the story, but really grateful for all that.
We've covered quite a lot of your story, and thank you for sharing that. We can go in lots of different directions. I think we will obviously spend some time with your consulting and with the Proctor Gallagher Institute as well. But I just want to take you back right to the start of your story, where you said that you felt that you you basically fulfilled the role that people thought of you, and that you needed to be fixed was the word that you used. You thought you needed to be fixed. At what point, was it through your degree? Was it post that? Was it at the after this hike where you sat up there for 8 hours? At what point do you feel that you either got fixed by a mentor, which I'm not sure it ever really happens, but got fixed, or you fixed yourself? At what point do you think that actually occurred?
Yeah, so the term when I said I needed to be fixed was when I was younger and I had speech impediment and I was shy, and I created an identity around that.
Yeah.
Which wasn't it wasn't even who I was at the core.
Yeah.
I mean, I still consider myself an introvert, but the shy person that was afraid to talk was created based on these experiences that I had around us. Right. I mean, around me, that we have around us. So for me, I think the point was discovering that I found mentors and started to listen to audiobooks, and I discovered that I could gain certain skills and that I could learn certain things, and that I wasn't the way that I had to be. Like, I wasn't just stuck this way. I wasn't born this way. Right. And that's when everything changed. When that became a possibility, and then I sat down and I set those goals, right, and I had a target, then it made decision-making so much easier. You know, it gave me that burning, I mean, it wasn't burning at first. It gave me that desire that turned into a burning desire to be where I am right now and still continuing on. But it was really a perception change, I would say. So it was a change in the way that I looked at myself, first off, and then
it was a mindset thing. It was a mindset thing.
Yes. And it was a self-image change as well. It's the book Psycho-Cybernetics. Dr. Maxwell Maltz says that we have two images. One image, and he was a plastic surgeon, so he would fix people's noses and stuff like that. And he would see that some people, when he fixed their face or he gave them plastic surgery, their confidence would go up, their self-image would go up, they would feel better. But then some people, they had no change at all. So he came to the conclusion that we have two images. The image that we look in the mirror and reflects back to us, and you say, oh, that's, you know, I look in the mirror, that's Dana, that's who I am, and this is how I look. But then we have an internal image as well. And he came up with the conclusion that we can shift that internal image to what we want, and we can start to act as that person. And it's not fake it till you make it. That's you, who you are at that core. But we have so many, I call them paradigms. We have mental programs that control our habitual way of thinking, acting, and the results that we get. And that's formed genetically and environmentally till age 7. So we have all that. So the example I have is that started building up the shy guy, the shy kid, you know, very self-conscious, my self-esteem down. And I played that out until I got to a point in my life that I said, oh, that's not even who I am. It's all based on what happened around me in my environment. I came to the conclusion of that. So that I went through a process of kind of reconditioning that, if that makes sense.
And I want to know about your first mentor. Was your first, because I've had mentors that I've worked with and done face-to-face meetings and Zoom calls, and I've had people help me, coach me, and etc. But equally, I've also had mentors that I've listened to their books. I've become obsessed by their podcasts and learn a great deal of knowledge through them. Who was your first mentor that really had a major impact on your life?
Right. So I didn't have a mentor in the sense of in person. I didn't mention the story, but age 16, I worked this physical labor job for a rentals company. You drive 8 hours a day. I do 14 hours a day for 3 days a week. And I would literally listen to Audible. I would listen to podcasts and Audible. Yeah. And I would probably finish 4 books a week. So I fell very deep into Tony Robbins. I know that a lot of people say that. Dean Graziosi as well. So they were my two mentors, as in exposing me to a new way of thinking that I didn't even know was a reality. I didn't even know that was possible. Like the whole entrepreneur world versus the corporate is a whole different way of thinking. Yep. And the whole poverty mindset as well, and the wealth mindset is a whole different way of thinking. So they were like my first introductions, but I don't like to call them mentors, because I feel like that's, I mean, they were, but I feel like it's a deeper relationship. So my main first one was Bob Proctor and his company, when I actually sat down and they actually took time with me to discuss and help me change the way that I was thinking and help me gain more awareness in this process. And again, it was But to answer your question, it came through, I think you can find mentors through books, through podcasts, through YouTube. In the age of information, ignorance is a choice, not knowing is a choice. But my main mentor, and I'll always say that, was Bob Proctor. Been studying his stuff for the last 3 years, 1 to 2 hours a day.
Well, we'll come on to Bob Proctor after this next question. So what actually was the road trip, the driving 50 hours? What was the driving force to move from Massachusetts to Arizona?
So something that Bob's taught me is that we have mental faculties that most people don't know about. And what do I mean by this? It's a part of our mind. We have our conscious mind, we have a subconscious mind, and we have our body. So if you can imagine, there's a line across my head. Up here's the conscious mind, here's the subconscious mind, then we obviously have the body. Okay, the conscious mind's the thinking mind, it's the educated mind. It's where our senses are. We can heat, we can smell, taste, touch, feel things and whatnot. It's also where we have these intellectual faculties, these mental faculties, the memory, perception, will, reason, imagination, and intuition. And what most people don't understand is we can use these in a way that we can actually create what we want to create in our life. And what I mean by that is, if you look at any creature, any animal on Earth, is they're perfect in their environment. So like if you look out, there's a squirrel. I don't know if they have them in the UK, but we have a lot over here in Massachusetts, especially, is a squirrel or some type of animal outside. They're always just operating perfect in their environment. But the thing is, humans, we don't operate that way. And the reason is that we can use our memory. You can go back to the past. We can use our imagination, go into the future, focus on our goal. We can use our perception, shift the way that we think look at a problem or a question. We can use our will to focus on something. We can use our intuition to use that gut feeling to guide us as well. So we have these certain, and then the last one, reason. Reason is the ability to think. It's the highest capability we have as humans. So when we use these mental faculties, it gives us the ability to make choices, which in turn gives us the ability to change our results in our life. And the issue is, so many people don't even know about these and they don't know how to use them. So the mind is using them instead of them using the mind, if that makes sense.
So you set up your consulting business, and so just correct me on the order of things. You set up your consulting business. You then went and started working for PGI, Procter Gallagher Institute. Were they simultaneous, or were they were slightly different times? And tell me a little bit about your consulting business as well.
Right. So I set up my coaching business before the consulting. So I set up my coaching while I was in my 9-to-5 role. So it was doing it on after work, on the weekends, sacrificed all going out, and had to decide who I wanted to spend my time with and stuff like that. So I had that set up. And then once I went full time into that, I met Bob Proctor and Procter Gallagher Institute. And I don't work for them. We have a partnership. So I still have my own business. But what I do is I am able to use some of their materials. So Bob has 60 years of experience, proven helping millions of people. So I'm able to use his materials with my coaching. And then as I went through the years, I learned more about the business side of things. Then I had the consulting set up, the marketing, the sales strategies, the content creation. So it's been a little process. But first was when I had my job, the 9-to-5. I had the coaching, went to the partnership with Bob, and in that process set up the consulting as well. And then he helped me, his company helped me grow that as well.
So let's talk about your consulting business. So you've got a business model, which is organic marketing, direct response messaging, content, and networking. So, and you're consulting, you're helping entrepreneurs be able to build businesses. So what strategies do you use? And so to use me as a test case, I was doing some coaching. So if I wanted to come to you and wanted some help with my coaching business, how would you approach that, and how would you sit down with me, and what would you take me through?
Right. And would you be someone that's just starting, or someone that's experienced in the industry?
No, I was doing it for about 2 years before, after 14 years of corporate as a manager there. So I've got experience of managing people, and just I want to get underneath the bonnet of how you approach the difference between sales and marketing, the difference between coaching, the difference between helping entrepreneurs build businesses. how do you go through your process?
Right. So what I find is so many people have knowledge. They have a lot of skill sets. They know what they have to do. They know the outcome they want to get, but still they're not doing the things they know how to do to get the results they want to get. So the big question is why? Like, why do we keep looking for another degree? Why do we keep looking for another YouTube video? Why do we keep reading another book? So what I do is I help people take the knowledge, the skill sets that they have, and I do it through a process called a paradigm shift. And it's very deep in the sense that the paradigm is a mental program that controls your habitual way of thinking, like I mentioned before, and that's 95%. So what I
The
find is a lot of
paradigm
people
shift is
looking.
the paradigm shift is a Tony Robbins thing, isn't it?
No, that's Bob Proctor.
It's Bob Proctor. Okay, fair enough.
Bob Proctor is the expert, or he was the main expert on the paradigm shift.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm sure people have similar strategies, but he was, like I said, like the kind of the grandfather in terms of that.
Yeah.
So that the paradigm controls our productivity, our focus, the amount of money we earn, our relationships, everything, our perception, our use of time. So the process I use is to shift the way that we think, but it's not that easy. It's like I said before. So it's in that subconscious part of us, meaning it's unconscious. We don't know about it. So you need to do it through a process. You need to do it through something that works. So a lot of programs, coaches, and stuff like this, they're going, I can shift your behavior and I can get you a result, which is awesome. But the end of the day is if you shift just the behavior or the habit, that's like saying I'm going to go to the gym or, you're going to learn some sales for 30 days. But the thing is, if your paradigm, if your core, if your subconscious mind has a setting, it's like a plane on auto. And when you fly an airplane, they have an autopilot. So if it goes on, it hits turbulence, it goes back on track. So you're going to reset to that core. So what I do is I help people get results for the rest of their life that are permanent instead of temporary, and that causes frustration and whatnot. So that's what I do on the mindset side. And then we add in the concepts learned from the book Think and Grow Rich, when Napoleon Hill interviewed over 25,000 people, 500 of the most successful and wealthy people in the early 1900s, combined it into that book. And it's really the philosophy of success. And if I'm sure a lot of your audience knows about it. If they don't, they should definitely get that book.
I would hope that most of my audience should know Napoleon Hill. So fingers crossed.
A lot of people know about it. A lot of people know about it. They don't actually study it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
So Napoleon Hill interviewed Earl Nightingale. Mentored Earl Nightingale. They were friends. Earl Nightingale and mentored Bob Proctor in the 60s.
Okay.
So this information I teach on is a lineage of 125 years of the most successful people. So that's the mindset side. Okay. The marketing and sales is, like you mentioned, it's how do I create engaging content? How do I use storytelling in my content? What types of different content pieces can I use? Transformation posts, mission posts, value posts, client testimonials to paint that picture. You are the expert. You want to put that online so that you can use the beautiful internet to help people and earn money online, because that's why it's there. And, the internet can be used for positive or negative. So I go into all that with the marketing, the organic side of thing, messaging scripts, Facebook groups, Instagram as well, how to use that. So people can really leverage the internet to help them help more people, provide a service, which means help them earn more money in that process as well. And then also the sales processes of a script for the sales calls, also combining the mindset things. And because the truth is, most people don't know who they are and they don't understand themselves. And until they can do that, they're not going to understand other people, because humans, we all have the same nature, but we have different behaviors.
Yeah.
And we need to understand ourselves first. So I use that as in the sales process is I use a certain, it's called the stick person. It explains the conscious mind, subconscious mind, the body, how our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, and our results all relate. How we can shift the way that we think so that we can understand that person and really have a conversation and not be salesy.
Who is your ideal client?
Ideal client to people is, number one, is the person that is looking to transition full time. So maybe they're like I was, they're doing their job and they haven't taken that leap yet, and they're scared about it and they don't know what to do, and they don't have that mindset to do that, or they don't have the marketing or sales to do that. So it's someone that's in that role, or it's the entrepreneur that wants to earn more money. They want to scale. They want to grow their business, their online business right now, and they have no idea why it's not growing. They're successful in that process, but it's just one paradigm shift away that can help them. I've seen people double their income. I've done that, have bigger months than I made in my corporate role, all through this material as well. So those types of people.
Awesome. Why do you think there is people, entrepreneurs, business owners that aren't reaching their potential?
I believe it's 95% mindset, 5% strategy. I can give you the marketing, I can give you the sales, or someone else can. And most of the times it's going to help you grow. Like obviously one may be a better fit or not, but I can give anyone any strategy, and if they apply it, it will work. It's like a diet. You can give anyone, there's like 40 different diets, right? And everyone's trying to pick the right one. But the issue is they're not staying consistent with it. So the shift is in the mind. The shift is in that 95%, because it's being controlled and it's conditioned into you at a young age. So once you shift that, the results are going to change. And a big thing is this: the type of work I do is, it's not looking at your circumstances. It's not looking at your environment. It's not looking at what's outside of you. It's going on the inside, changing your inside, changing your core so the outside changes. It's a little different from 95% of people. 97% of people don't operate that way. And then secondly, it's creating a vision. It's creating a future, your future self, you could call it. How would I walk? How would I act? What would I be doing on a daily basis? What would that feel like? Who would I be around? So it's working from a higher potential, like a goal up here, down, when most people they're thinking about what they have done before and what they think they can do. So they're working from a lower potential up. So my whole thing is work from the inside out. Most people are operating from the outside in. You're working from a higher potential down instead of a lower potential up. So in this way, you can have huge results. I'm not saying you can't be successful the other way, but I'm saying, in the sake of time, it's more efficient.
Awesome, thank you. How do you help people that have self-limiting beliefs? So they believe that there's a ceiling for their development, whatever that is, whether that's as an entrepreneur or as someone in a corporate career. How do you overcome those self-limiting beliefs?
Well, your beliefs are based on your evaluation of something. So frequently, if you reevaluate the situation, your beliefs will change. So you need to evaluate yourself. The issue is a lot of people can set a goal, right? They want to know where they're going, but they don't even know where they are. You need to know where you are now, and not just business goals wise. Internally, you got to be real with yourself. You got to evaluate yourself. You got to ask the right questions, find out where you are, then also know where you want to go, obviously. And then from that process on, you could start to change those beliefs. And how do you change the belief directly? You change the paradigm. So the paradigm, the 95%, the subconscious mind, the self-image, all the same thing, control the body. So the body is an instrument of the mind. Whatever you put in the mind, the body's going to react. So most people are letting their bodies control their mind. So what you want to do is you can use time-spaced repetition. You can use images, emotions to change the paradigm as well. And you can use emotional impact. So the more that something I was taught was I would blow through books. I would just keep reading books. My mentor taught me to read the same page or the same chapter until, 30 days in a row, until I knew it from the bottom of my heart, because that's how you get into the subconscious mind. Another thing that I do is I'm big into vision boards, or I actually have like a vision board video that I watch every day. And once you feel the emotion to it, your nervous system's going to link that up with that future. So you're going to build that burning desire. And then once you build that burning desire on a conscious level, you're saying, oh, I want to earn this amount of money a month, or I want to grow my business to this point. On a subconscious level, you're saying the same thing. I want to earn this amount of money. I want to grow my business. And then if that's aligned, your body is going to be in a positive state. It's going to want you to take action. It's going to make you say, oh, I should go to networking things. I should go to speaking things. I should do podcasts. I should put out content. And if you do that enough times, then your results will change, and then your beliefs will change. But it's a process. I do believe change can happen instantaneously. I've seen it, but I think most of the time it is a process, because you got to think about this as well, is that our beliefs have been established over our whole lifetime. So I think having compassion in that process too, and just working with it on a daily basis through repetition.
Right. And you mentioned a little bit earlier on about the role of journaling was to sort of put everything down, all your other thoughts. Do you still journal? Is it still an important part of your life?
It's very important. I've moved it. I used to do it years ago. I used to do it in the morning, then I did it in the afternoon, I did it at night. So I think for the people that are thinking about it or do it. I don't think there's a set time when to do it, but for me, the importance of journaling is when you write something down, you think. So writing causes thinking. Thinking stirs an emotion. The emotion causes a feeling in your body, right? You get a certain state, you start to think a little bit, which leads to the action, and then it changes your results. So the issue here is, and again, this is what I was taught, is Earl Nightingale said if most people said what they were thinking, they'd be speechless, meaning that most people don't think, right? And the reason we say this is that 95%, that paradigm, it's operating. So it's like you wake up in the morning, you tie your shoes, you brush your teeth, you don't think about it. You're just operating with it. So how can we take these success habits? How can we take who you need to be to reach that goal of the future and make that part of that 95%? That's the key to it. And that's really what it's all about.
Fantastic. So what's the plan for the next 2 to 5 years?
Truthfully, I can't even plan my life a month out because it's changing so rapidly. But speaking on stages, I just started doing that more in Phoenix. So more speaking on stages, traveling around, retreats. I want to be hosting retreats, personal development retreats combined with business. So really like high ticket kind of experiences. That's what it's about. I think life's about experiences, and like I mentioned before, you can shift your paradigm with emotional impact. So you can do that through an experience. Most of the time it's negative. So retreats, experiences, launching my own podcast, like you have, when the time's right. And other than that, I have to say, like with this material and the type of work I do, my life's changing so rapidly that I seek out fear. I think that's what like a lot of successful people do, is you'll find what scares you, you'll go after it. So that's it. I can't go that far out, but that's the plan for this year and next year, is the retreats, the speaking, and just putting out more value than ever.
So what's your, you don't have to tell specifics, or you can, it's up to you, but the goal for 2022, we've just been through incredibly difficult time with the pandemic, and you started businesses during the pandemic, so did I. What can you explain or talk around a goal that you've set for yourself to complete in 2022?
2022, the goal is to earn past 7 figures in my business. So course a year and a half, I got to past 6 figures. So it's to help that number of clients and do in a way that can provide so much service that it differentiates me from the market, and I can help people create 6-figure businesses in the coaching consulting industry as well. And in turn, when I do that, blow past the 7-figure mark. That's the goal. And I want to I have a couple of great ideas of kind of charities and volunteer work. So once that happens, I want to give back. I'm big into that. I want to give back in ways that I can. I have a couple ideas about apps of kind of trading skill sets. I'm not going to get into it right now, but entrepreneurs, like it'd be it would be like a club kind of, that subscription based, that you skill sets, and it's a monthly payment. And so it'd be like, if you want to go on and talk about coaching, and then I teach you about marketing, we kind of just coach each other and whatnot. So I have a lot of big plans for this year. And again, like the retreats and the speaking are part of it as well. But overall, it's 7-figure mark, and it's helping, I want to say at least 20 or 30 other coaches and consultants get to the 6-figure mark that are starting. I really like to help the people that they're very scared to take that jump full time. And that's a big focus for me.
And just one question before we go into the last section is, you've talked a lot about mindset and getting your mindset right and your subconscious, which is absolutely right. And then you've talked a bit about your marketing and sales and content and stuff. So for you, what is more important for an entrepreneur, to have the right mindset or have the right tools in their toolkit?
I think the right mindset's the foundation, but I think you need both. So I think without the mindset, you're not going to apply the tools. You won't. I've seen it. I've seen it with clients. I've seen it with myself. It's all over the place. If you give me the tools, I don't have the mindset, I don't have the vision, I don't have the purpose, I don't have the persistence, the discipline, the inspiration, the mentor, I'm never going to use it. And you'll see that so many times. So I know hands down, it's the mindset aspect of that. And again, it goes into that subconscious aspect. It's not just have the right mindset. It's nature's laws. There's certain laws that govern what we experience. There's certain ways that we can change, I think, our mental faculties that I talked about. our self-image, having a self-image script, having a mission statement is something that I have a whole, it's about 13 minutes recording of my whole life mapped out how it will be in the future. I've been listening to it for 5 years. I don't know how I'm going to get there because I don't have the awareness to get there. But as you go through this process and every single day you make progress, progress is the key to is happiness. Progress equals happiness. You gain more awareness in this process. So I think the foundation that most people miss, I'm not saying you can't be successful without having the mindset, but that's called an unconscious competent. You know, they're unconscious of why they're successful. They just know they are, and other people know they are. So it's the mindset number one, and then the tools come after. But you can't have one without the other. I think you need both.
Thank you. Okay, we're coming to the end of the interview. I asked the same 6 questions to all of my guests. They're quick-fire questions. They don't need a quick-fire answer. They've been described as thought-provoking as well. So let's see how we get on. What was the best decision that you've made?
So many just popped into my mind. 2 of them. To make that decision to go full-time into business with, I started off not having any experience, no knowledge, no idea what I was doing. And that's why I found the people that knew what they were doing so they could teach me. So that was number one, was going into that entrepreneurship, in a life of freedom in that sense. And it's a whole different world. That was number one. And then my decision to to drive across the United States 50 hours. I talked to so many, and trust me, you never want to ask people their opinions. What should I do? Because they give you an opinion that's based on no experience and knowledge, and it's usually with self-limiting beliefs. So everyone's saying, why wouldn't you fly? Why wouldn't you fly? And in my mind, I was saying, I think this is a great experience, driving 50 hours across the U.S. When am I ever going to do this again? Just me in the car. I can take my time and whatnot. And, I was able to go, I don't know if people are familiar with the U.S., but Nashville, Tennessee, Arkansas, Texas, 2 national parks in New Mexico. So I've created all these experiences, and I built a lot of confidence traveling myself as well. So those are I gave you 2 decisions.
Well, this isn't part of the questions, but what was your favorite place on traveling across America?
I really liked New Mexico. They had the white sands, and it's literally just a desert, but it's pure white, and you can go sledding on the sands. It's really cool. So I like that, and that was next to the Carlsbad Taverns in New Mexico. It's about 2 hours. And it's literally taverns that go 250 feet under the ground, and they're all natural. And they're really cool. So if you go to New Mexico, check out both of those. Those are 2 of my favorite.
Fantastic. What's the best piece of advice you've been given?
So it's when I was on that call with Bob Proctor. I was on that one-on-one call on Zoom with Bob, and we were talking. And I really didn't know like what I wanted. And he asked me what I wanted, and I wanted to think the way he did. I wanted to be around the same network. And I told him, he dropped on me kind of that partnership, the opportunity there. And it scared me because I had my business going, and I was doing decent in it. And I was in my head, I was like, if I partner with your business, like what's going to happen to mine? It was kind of that fear team up. And what he said to me is probably the best advice. He said, you're making a huge mistake trying to do it on your own. When you really want something, you will always find a way for it. If you don't want it bad enough, you're going to stay where you are. When you want it, you'll find a way. And he said, you're wasting your time. Straight up, he said this. You're wasting your time building your coaching business on your own. You should come do it with us for a few years. Learn for us. We've been doing it for 60 years. Continue on your path, just like I did with Earl Nightingale. Do exactly what we tell you, and you can have anything that you want. And that may sound exaggerated. It's just because your paradigm isn't used to it. And I was like, what the heck is a paradigm? I started to study the material. And a year and a half later, he passed away, but he helped, I had the most growth in my business ever since making that decision to do that. And so I think that was the biggest thing.
Ironically, the next question is, who's helped you most in your career? I wonder if we already have covered this a couple of times, but is there someone else apart from Bob that has helped you massively in your career?
I had many coaches. So when I first started, I don't even know how much money, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in a year or 2 years. I just constantly was just investing in myself with that vision and finding the right people. So I know we covered that. It was mostly Bob and his company, but I can't take credit away from the ins and outs of many other coaches. There was one coach I had his name was Clay. And I remember being on a specific call with him, and I was complaining about all the obstacles I was facing. Why is this happening? Why is that happening? Why is that happening? And he said, "What's your goal?" And I told him what my goal was. He said, if you just had your goal tomorrow, how would you feel? And I'd be like, well, that wouldn't be fun. Like I would just have it tomorrow, and then what would I do? I would probably set another goal. He's like, so it's not really an obstacle. It's giving you growth. So he taught me that lesson about obstacles. And I know some people, everyone's like, oh, I know to view it that way, but really, do you know? Like when an obstacle comes up in your life, are you feeling those worries, doubts, and fears, which is natural? But how quick can you shift that to knowledge and freedom and experience? So he taught me that, Clay.
Fantastic. Do you have any regrets?
No regrets. Everything I've done has led to where I am today. If you look back, it's like turning your mess into your message. Like I said, I've been in trouble a lot. Nothing like felonies or stuff. Just like partying, arrested 5 times. I had all these losses in my life, and all of that led to me where I am today, standing on this call in Arizona. Was a 6-figure business starting from nothing. So I don't have any regrets. I don't think I like to live my life that way. The way that just to add to that quickly, the way that I like to live is I picture myself, 85 years old. I'm sitting at my chair and I'm looking back on my life now. So when I have to make a decision now, 28 years old, I'll look back and I'll say at 85 years old, the Dana at 85 years old, if I look back right now, would I do this? Would I regret this? The answer is yes, I would regret this, and I always do it. So that's kind of my approach.
Okay. What are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of the fact that I had a speech impediment.
Yeah.
I didn't do that on purpose. A speech impediment, and I was so scared to even talk in front of people, to public speak. So when I set a goal to make money online, and I started to put out content, live videos, and recordings and master classes, I didn't know how I was going to do that. So what I did is I did some stand-up comedy. And I got in front of people. I did some professional stand-up comedy, kind of worked on those fears, did a lot of speaking online. I would really dissect my videos. I would record a video, and then I'd spend like adding in the words that I was saying. I'd watch all my hand movements, how I talk, the tone, all that stuff. And that, like just last week, I was speaking on a stage. So I'm very proud of that transformation of being that shy kid that was scared of speaking, or even that shy teenager, to being able to run, a successful coaching business, speak on stages, be on podcasts like this, and just really that transformation from within. And I think everyone can duplicate something like that.
Awesome. What does legacy mean to you?
I think legacy is impressing your work upon the world, and so that doesn't expire. So example of that is whatever my values, my morals are, is to put myself into some type of work, whether that's a book or a program, but something that can live past my own existence, so people can listen to me for years and years and years, and they can learn from myself as well. So I think it's quite simple. I think it's the ability to have a lasting impact through your service on the world is what legacy would mean to me.
Fantastic. And where can people find you if they want to reach out to you?
So I'm all over social media. I use Facebook a lot. Dana Silvestri on Facebook. On Instagram, it's THE Dana Silvestri. And then LinkedIn is Dana Silvestri as well. So I put out a lot of value, a lot of content. I have a Facebook group, and my goal, and it's actually a law of compensation, is the amount of money you earn is how much service you provide. So my whole goal is just to provide service, provide value, help people, build relationships with people. I do 5-day events. And in my opinion, it's the most powerful material on the planet. Obviously, that's my opinion. But yeah, find me on social media, take a look at my content, and I'm always happy to connect.
Thank you. Right, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. You've had a great journey, and to be honest, you're just a young pup. You're 28 years old. You've got a successful business. There's still so much more that you can achieve. So thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure hearing your story, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mark.